I must emphasize with great exclamation, my dearest friend, and someone whom I am addressing in a marginally casual way as a sibling of the male identity. Might I inquire the reasoning for your brazen and repeated battery of this electronic visual communications device, often used for the advertisement of goods or services from corporate entities whose sponsorship helps to fund to this particular shopping district?
It is most preposterous. My patience has become weary, and I am growing restless. A particular musical composer and producer, referring to himself and publishing his fine crafts under the pseudonym of Eazy, has not yet released a new musical composition to the public. I must repeat, and if I may regard thee in a similar context, sibling of the male variety, this is all rather distressing.
I must promptly ask you, my dearest colleague, please attempt to cease your apprehension and your woes, as I have extraordinary information that I wish to vocalize in your general direction, now that I have seen the true extent of your distress. This sentiment is shared as well to any and all passers-by who may take interest in the topic. As it happens, I have information in regards to the musical artisan that I believe you might find satisfactory. From what I understand, a musical piece which is currently in production, titled a word often associated with being disproportionately or unnaturally large, used to describe an adult of the male gender, is set to release on a calendar date of the 7th day of January, within the year 2023. I encourage your distressed ears to give your undivided auditory attention to a live demonstration of the aforementioned musical composition. I dare say I, in my numerous years upon this earth, have not been fluent in the knowledge that fine literature or other such academia can provide to me. On the contrary, I have a rather keen understanding of the complexities and nuances of finance, and am endowed with innumerable favorable spending habits. It is that specific distinction that I must give my own, perhaps unfounded assumption that the trait of being gifted in finance means that I myself operate at a higher level intellectually than that of my peers, despite my aforementioned shortcomings. Because of my monetary proficiency, I would like to make a somewhat humorous and apt analogy based upon my abundance of capital. For you see, some may refer to me as the male personification of a large celebration, featuring collectives of musically talented individuals which are often organized into a series of live performances. These musical performer groups are referred to commonly as bands. The previously mentioned term, as it happens, is also slang used to describe long strips of material used to bind paper currency to one another in large bundles or stacks. As an overview, in the same way that a musical festival facilitates a substantially noteworthy number of groups of musical talent, I by comparison hold a similarly considerable amount of capital. Great heavens! The female which I have affixed my gaze upon, simply based on visual stimuli alone, is rather charming indeed. Egads, now that I look to the remainder of the aforementioned female's company of female compatriots, I am equally as intrigued and perhaps delighted by their appearances. As a result of their collective charm, I heavily and greatly encourage this particular person of the female gender, assuming she happens to take part in my courtship for the remainder of our time in close proximity, to be accompanied by a member of her extended pool of female identifying companions. This is because I, to stress once more, equally find her visage and that of her companions indubitably attractive. Because of this aforementioned attraction, I feel as though my subconscious urges for romantic and or sexual contact with these fair maidens is not something that I will be capable enough to suppress. Hark! For a fellow associate of the male gender has also expressed interest in the female upon which this stanza is built. Within this set of circumstances, one could argue that acquiring the female in question could occur without issue or resistance. I must now halt my statement for a moment, as this previous sentence has once again enlightened me with yet another analogous comparison, bearing striking parallels to the 1990 Capcom computerized video game, a word often associated with being disproportionately or unnaturally large, used to describe an adult of the male gender. The third, in the way that myself and my male associate wish to easily approach this female, is analogous to sliding along the ground unimpeded, much as you can in the before-mentioned computer game. It is with this fact that I also parallel myself and my associate taking on the roles of the main playable character and his loyal canine companion.